heart attack, fast fatal heart impact, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and packs. I back up my actions, fact don't ask, grab reactions, jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're discreet out. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty, hello everybody. This is Kira Show here. Now, one thing I do want to clear up is I said ALS yesterday whenever I said John Wick. I meant ASL, American Sign Language. That's my bad. I was a little bit tired when I was recording, so hopefully I do not mess up like that again. Now, whenever we last left off, a lot of things have happened. Midoriya was roughly around the age of 6 years old, and he has been training and working on multiple different disciplines, not only on his physical body, but with his mind, and trying to learn multiple languages and combat train, trying to push himself more and more and more. During an exercise where you were supposed to work together with your team, a few kids thought it would be a good idea to try and mess with Deku. He is quirkless, so he is worthless. That is what they thought. Until Midoriya, whenever they encountered him, he brutally beat 2 of them and accidentally murdered the 3rd. Now, with that being said, Midoriya didn't really seem remorseful about it. He didn't really care. As far as he knows, the boy deserved it, and he quite simply should not have done what he did. Otherwise, he would still be alive. Midoriya doesn't blame himself for his actions. He quite simply just defended himself. If this was a real-life combat situation, and this happened, then hey, his life or theirs. And Miss Carter was informed about it. Hearing how Midoriya reacted to murder, let alone killing someone himself, yeah, that boy seems to be a bit far cry from what she used to see, from what she used to know, since all she's really been hearing on some of the updates they give her is that not only has Midoriya gotten better, he seems to have improved a little bit. He tries to channel that pent-up aggression, usually into different things. In fact, they did actually put him in some of the extra courses. However, people who fall below the top 10, they aren't given these courses because they are failing. It's because if you know different varieties of combat and ways to express yourself during fights, then you can quite simply be a better assassin. In Midoriya, he is being taught something else today. However, one thing is happening beforehand. Midoriya, he is quite simply taken away. He wakes up and is pulled aside. He is pulled aside by the woman in charge, who quite simply has Midoriya walk with her. She walks Midoriya around the facility, until they come to a door that Midoriya has never seen. And it opens. This being whenever they walk in. And there is a chair. Then, the woman informs Midoriya that he has done something very, very unique. In fact, they believe that he deserves to be marked. Marked in a way that will symbolize what he did. In fact, these are very important. The meaning behind them is, well, very, very fortunate, and they symbolize status, purpose. The woman quite simply just rolling up her sleeve, and Midoriya does see a lot of tattoos. Some of the ones wrapping and snaking their way around her arm. And she suddenly goes on stating that she got quite a few of her tattoos right here in this facility. In fact, she was trained here whenever she was a very young person. Then, during a contract mission, a lot of people died, and she was the only one to escape. So, she simply retired. That was roughly let's say a decade ago. Or at least close to. The woman has been here ever since, and she has overseen, a lot of kids training. And Midori is by far the youngest person she's ever seen kill somebody. Simply just telling Midoriya that he is going to be given a marker. Now, Midoriya is then sat down into the chair, as Miss Carter does walk out. Midoriya being surprised to see the woman. Her simply just smiling and asking Midoriya how exactly is he doing. To which he doesn't really have an answer. Simply just stating that he is tired, and he thought that they were going to be training this morning. This is all kind of different to him. Miss Carter going on to state that yes, it is. In fact, she's very lucky that her schedule was open. She had to carry out quite a lot of hits since the last time she has seen him. And well, from what she has heard, he's been doing very well. In fact, she hopes to one day train with him. She is going to have to leave again, though. In fact, she shouldn't even really be here. The only reason why she is here is to honor traditions. Midoriya confused, and asking what exactly she means. To which she goes on stating that whenever, a trainee or an initiate receives their first kill, they are usually marked by their mentor. And you were not supposed to be marked until next year. So, I am actually here a bit early. And I really do hope that you understand, young boy. Pushing yourself is good, but do not try and overextend yourself. Along with that, do try and channel that rage. Channel it into something more useful. Go into fighting, shooting, even learning. You are a very smart young boy. And if you let that anger blind you, it is going to be a weakness. Her simply just saying, as she begins to tattoo Midoriya. And Midoriya actually does wince in pain a little bit. Now, Midoriya is getting this tattoo right on top of his right arm. The very top, a place you can easily cover with a shirt. Now, after Midoriya is tattooed, he does have this thing wrapped up and given proper things to make sure it does not get infected. Her simply just telling Midoriya that he is doing very well, and she does hope to see the rest of his transformation. Before simply just leaving. And Midoriya is taken back to training. As the group run by Midoriya to go outside and run early, Midoriya does actually begin to run with them. And try to keep up. Now, they go out for their usual hour of running. Running out in the forest and making sure to climb over obstacles, and go through different things. After they do get back, they do actually begin other workouts, and do more and more training. Until they do get to their free time, whenever it is time for everyone to, clean up. Midoriya simply just pulling off his shirt and looking at his arm. And making sure that the wrapping that's on it doesn't have sweat inside of it. From what Miss Carter told him, that is how he can probably get an infection. There's a multitude of ways. a lot of kids actually seeing this tattoo and being surprised and interested. And well, Midoriya becomes a bit of the talk of the area for a minute. Now, Midoriya simply goes on to say that he was given it earlier this morning. And, well, as he does want to say what it's for, but he quite simply keeps his mouth shut, watching as the person that trained them is simply just standing there, and has a very stern look on his face, staring at Midoriya. Midoriya is simply just looking at the man as he shakes his head no. Midoriya is saying that they'll know whenever they get theirs. A lot of kids actually a bit more surprised and happy. Simply just trying to, well, some kids just want to poke it. They want to see what happens. It looks very interesting and they're kind of confused as to why it's not washing away. Surprised to learn that it's real. Now, with that out of the way, you do have Midoriya, who instead of going to his usual classes, he does get put into different ones, starting to learn privately with a lot of other kids, learning, well, different languages, starting from scratch on new ones, and Midoriya is being pulled into different directions from what he was already learning. Then there is his combat training, where he was going to learn marksmanship and, well, rifles and other things like that. They do give Midoriya pistols today, and begin to teach him on marksmanship with these. It is a lot different, along with teaching him how to take one apart, put it back together, and do this over and over again, along with how to hit his targets. Now, Midoriya is actually surprised, since today, the targets, instead of them simply just standing there, they're put on a wire, and basically just moved around. This is actually very interesting. Midoriya doesn't think he's ever seen anything like this. And whenever he does try and hit a moving target with a weapon he's not used to, it's not easy. He actually does miss a few times. He does hit his target once, but even then, the shot would have been non-lethal. So he does have to practice over and over and over. Along with actually, well, meeting some people. He was told to come to a certain place in the facility and simply just knock twice. Whenever he does so, he actually does find that a man opens the door and asks his name, Izuku Midoriya. This being surprising. Whenever the man does tell Midoriya that this class, or well, training you could say, is about mastering escape artistry, basically in case you are ever captured, and need to find ways to escape. Now, this actually does surprise Midoriya. He wasn't supposed to learn well about this until, well, he doesn't really know. He's pretty sure that Miss Carter was supposed to teach him something like this, from what she may have said. He was kind of focusing on not trying to scream whenever she was giving him a tattoo, or, well, make any sound. He did pretty good, but he did let out a little bit of pain a few times. And the man just tells Midoriya that they're going to be training his ligaments in his hands, basically in case he needs to pop one out of place and take off a pair of handcuffs. The man telling Midoriya to put a pair of handcuffs on him. Midoriya doing so, and the man asking Midoriya to continue putting more on. Midoriya puts on 3 sets. And the man simply just does one thing. With most of his forearms bound together, he does one thing. He pulls his thumb out of socket, as it falls down into his palm, dangling, before simply taking the handcuffs and sliding all of them off of his hand, and telling Midoriya that it is that simple. before bringing his hand up and popping his thumb back in, saying that that is the result of years of training. And it's quite simple. It does not, well, you get used to the pain, but over time you will learn. As they begin to train Midoriya's ligaments, and his hands, and, well, in parts of his body. Various areas, along with Midoriya going back to his classes, keeping some of the regular ones, like his ballet and dance class, things that he will need to use to be masters of movements. Now, with that being said, Midoriya does go on this weird schedule for a little bit of time. And I could go over a lot of things, basically, but for right now, let's just say that the entire year passes, and Midoriya does learn a lot more than he was really supposed to. In fact, this is their final test today. Each one of their, well, instructors are going to be watching the test. And it's going to be very simple. They've captured some very, very dangerous targets. Or, at least for these kids. They're going to be low-ranked targets to the underworld. And capturing them was quite easy. The hits on their head were not very high. But, it's just that. Each kid is going to be given a file. And told about their target. Their target is being given a weapon. A real weapon. One that can kill. And these children are put in charge of pulling a trigger. And ending a man's life. A lot of these kids hearing about this, yeah. Some of them are hesitant. And don't really want to. Other kids are amped up, thinking that this is going to be very, very easy. And very simple. Well, you do have Midoriya. He has already killed someone before. And hearing that he has to do it again, well, it kinda doesn't faze him as much. He had time to process the first kid's death. But right now, yeah. Hearing that it's somebody who actually deserves it, along with that they have a weird quirk or, well, even a useful one and they use it for crime, that pisses Midoriya off. And it makes him a bit happy. Him willingly walking up to the table first, taking a file and a gun. And he begins to read it as he walks off. Now, as soon as Midoriya does get done with his file, he does follow parts of the protocol by simply taking a lighter, one that they were given inside the file, and lighting it, before letting it burn. And they bury it in the forest, where it remains. And Midoriya does head out. Him being seen as the first graduate, since he has a head start on everybody. And Miss Carter is actually very excited. In fact, it's actually quite interesting. As Midoriya begins to chase down his targets, he is being given orders and told information. His target's quirk, well, it's quite simple. They use it for lockpicking and breaking and entering. It's a little bit of X-ray vision, you could say. He can see the internal components on a lock, and he's able to quite simply move pieces in place to unlock a door. In fact, you wouldn't even know he was ever there, because he has never broken a lock. Now, he got into quite a bit of trouble with the Mafia, worked with them, until he double-crossed them. He took a lot of money from them, and they used, what they could scrape together to put a hit on his head. That is how he ended up in this scenario. And Midoriya, he simply just listens to his orders and tries to track down his targets. There is a lot of them in the forest, and you are simply told to avoid everyone else's targets. If you kill theirs, well, it's a failure. A little bit at least. That kid will fail, and you will be in charge of taking on your target alone, since you will be stripped of the single bullet you were provided. Now, with that being said, Midoriya, he tries to find his targets, and he finds them. He thought about it for a second. The man is going to be trying to pick a lock. It's what he does. And he finds him. He finds him towards the edge of the forest, right where he was dropped off at. And there's a giant door to the complex. The man trying to frantically pick the lock with whatever he can. Little pieces of twigs, pieces of stick, and yeah, nothing's working. He broke a piece of a twig off inside of this lock, and he's frantically trying to pull it out. Midoriya coming up on the man, who simply begins to try and beg for his life, and tells the kid to simply put the gun down, as he does try and reach for it. As soon as the man did get close enough and Midoriya was able to point the gun at his head, he pulled the trigger. The man was trying to calm Midoriya down, and Midoriya let the man get directly into place. He thought that if he frantically moved, the man would simply try to run, or lunge at him. If he let the man try and calm down and think that he had the upper hand, yeah. Midoriya quickly won, and he graduated first, being told that he is now an assassin, and Miss Carter does congratulate him, as a lot of the kids, whenever they do, well, graduate themselves, they're simply told that they are going to be going through the inking ceremony, and asking Midoriya if he is going to be staying with them. As Miss Carter does walk up, and inform this person that they really cannot. In fact, right now, they do have to leave. She got a contract that needs to be completed tomorrow, and the contract will be taking place on the other side of the country. So, Midoriya and I are going to be going somewhere. I am very sorry. Miss Carter telling Midoriya to simply say goodbye, as he does say goodbye. This person wasn't really one of Midoriya's friends, but hey, they were awfully nice as a hitman should be. And him and Miss Carter leave. Midoriya talking with her and actually learning a bit more of what's happened. Her simply congratulating Midoriya and asking him why he hesitated whenever he encountered his targets. Midoriya being told that his target isn't really one for, well, combat. In fact, from what he read in the file, the guy was caught whenever he was running, and he stole something. Whenever he did it again to the gangsters he was working with, he ran. And, well, he was captured. Meaning that the man does not want to fight. In fact, he's simply just trying to run and hide, like a coward. Miss Carter asking if Midoriya thought the man was innocent. Him immediately responding with no. And, well, she tells Midoriya to simply calm down. In fact, this is a very joyous occasion. And they stop somewhere. And Midoriya does get something. Miss Carter does take him out for a treat, getting Midoriya ice cream, since this is a very special day. And she did get the papers properly signed, asking Midoriya if he would like to now take on her last name. He was abandoned by his family, and he is no longer Izuku Midoriya, is he? Midoriya simply just stating no. And Miss Carter then asked him, exactly what would he like to change his name to? Midoriya? Yeah. He doesn't have a very valid response. He just informs Miss Carter. He doesn't care about the old name anymore. He doesn't care about Midoriya. He is now Izuku Carter. That is the name he wants to take. In fact, if he is going to be taking it, then he does want to go, simply complete their mission. As for a second he hesitates, going to call Miss Carter Mom. And Miss Carter does actually smile a bit whenever she heard Midoriya pronounce the M, simply just saying that she is going to be his mother from now on, and it's quite alright. This actually somewhat calming Midoriya down. Midoriya has a family now. He has someone who cares for him. And they don't care about his past. They don't care that he was abandoned, that he was quirkless. Miss Carter can relate to him. She is quirkless also. And they do get onto a plane after they drive to the airport and go to head out on their mission. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed and have an amazing night. I'll catch you guys in the next part.